Masachika is an unpopular loser until the most popular girl in school falls for him. She isn't just any popular girl. She's so admired that all the students stare at her and practically worship the ground she walks on. One morning, Timothy Chalamet wannabe, rethinking his $2 haircut, tries to charm Alia. However, she rejects him immediately. Trying to save face, he switches tactics to getting her number, but Alia shatters his self-worth, leaving him speechless. The rest of the school loses hope of winning her over, having witnessed her roast the most desired boy. Later, Alia arrives in class and finds Masachika catching up on sleep. She kicks him awake and asks if he was up all night watching anime again. He admits to it, explaining he had something important to do afterward. Alia assumes he was on a Twitter thread, but it turns out he was just watching anime recaps. Alia calls him insane, but Masachika insists that for the sake of culture, he'd gladly be put in a straitjacket. She then says something in Russian, and when he asks what it means, she tells him he looks pathetic. Their first period is chemistry, and Masachika realizes he forgot his textbook. He joins Alia to share hers. While the teacher drones on, Masachika fights to stay awake. When he loses the battle, Alia pokes him with her pin, causing him to raise his hand. The teacher asks for an answer, and Masachika looks to Alia for help. She points him to an answer, but it's wrong. The teacher then turns to Alia, who gives the correct answer. Feeling betrayed, Masachika asks why she set him up. Alia claims she was pointing out the question number, but Masachika knows she's lying, especially with that evil smile. She repeats a word in Russian, and when he asks what she said, she calls him stupid. However, Masachika has a secret. He understands Russian and knows she actually called him cute. This revelation rocks his world as he tries to figure out what she means. Alia continues to play dumb. He learned Russian from playing with a Russian girl as a kid, never thinking he'd use it to understand a popular girl like Alia. He can't reveal this secret, fearing she'd die of embarrassment, and he can't afford funeral expenses. Later, Alia catches Masachika on his phone and reminds him it's forbidden unless it's an emergency. He ignores her, so she grabs the phone to see what he's up to. She sees an anime character with silver hair and, annoyed, switches to Russian to call him a cheater. Masachika catches this and glitches out. When he asks what she said, she calls him a game junkie. He immediately starts explaining he's not a true junkie since he doesn't have a Twitch stream yet. Alia, realizing there's no hope for him, simply looks away. During lunch, Masachika and his friends notice the student council walk in. Alia, the treasurer, Yuki, the spokesperson, and Maria, the secretary and Alia's sister. The boys agree the Kujo sisters are stunning. Maria turns down everyone who asks her out, saying she's taken. Alia claims Takashi has no chance with Maria, calling him out for thinking he does just because he's friends with Alia. The girls look for a place to sit, and Yuki asks if they can join Masachika's group. The boys agree, and Yuki notices Masachika has the same ramen as her. When she realizes the food is terrible, she jokes about improving it with the student council. Masachika warns her not to mix personal preferences with admin matters, and Yuki fondly tells him she's joking. Alia asks if they're friends, and Yuki explains they've known each other since preschool. When Masachika asks if the girls are friends too, Yuki says she'd like to be, but Alia warns her that being her friend isn't fun. The boys decide to leave, claiming the girls are too dazzling for their virgin eyes. Once alone, Yuki asks Masachika if he's considered joining the student council, but he says he'd rather watch the 2010 Airbender movie. Yuki tells Alia that Masachika was her vice president in middle school and very capable. Alia switches to Russian and says Yuki didn't need to tell her that. Later, Yuki says goodbye, and Alia expresses surprise that any girl would want to be friends with Masachika. He points out that she's his friend, which surprises Alia. She agrees and suddenly walks away, leaving Masachika confused. Masachika dreams of the good old days playing with a blonde Russian girl. He wakes up, remembering he studied Russian to talk to her, yet he doesn't recall her name. The next morning, Masachika arrives early and tidies up. Alia is the first to arrive and is shocked to see him awake early. Masachika notices dirt on her socks and asks if she stepped in a puddle. She explains she was splashed with mud by a truck. She then asks if he'll join the student council, but he insists he'd rather swallow nails. Alia tries to ask something else but gets embarrassed and tells him to forget it. She starts removing her socks, making Misachika weak at the knees. Alia notices and gets an idea, telling Misachika to get her spare socks from her locker. He reluctantly agrees, but when she tells him to put them on her, he tries to back out. She says it would be a nice treat for helping her. She switches to Russian, saying it's for her too, and Misachika starts wondering if she's using him to release stress. When he asks what she said, she calls him a coward. Determined, Misachika grabs her foot and tries to put the sock on, but accidentally touches her inappropriately. She kicks him in the face, giving him a peek of heaven in the process. Later, Alia gives him the cold shoulder. Misachika tries to apologize, but she calls him a leg fetish scum in Russian. She then says she's not mad and apologizes for kicking him. When she tries to see if he's okay, he deflects, thanking her for the preview of the promised Neverland. Embarrassed, Alia decks him and runs away, with Misachika chasing after her. After running around the school for a while, Alia finally gives in. Misachika apologizes for taking things too far and offers her favorite drink as a peace offering. Alia, touched that he noticed, switches to Russian to ask if he wants a sip. Misachika freezes, realizing she wants to indirectly kiss him. He chickens out and pretends not to know what she means. She changes the translation and laughs to herself, thinking he doesn't understand a word she's saying. Comment Russian if you want a part 2, and if you like anime recaps like this, watch this video over here.